There we go. All right. Hello and welcome to the first meeting of 2022. This is January 6th, and you are at the Brentwood-Darlington Public Board meeting. As a reminder, which you already know, you're here on Zoom. We're going to do that until it's safe to meet again. And you can find this slideshow on brentwood-darlington.org/about public record, and Maria will put that link in the chat. You can also subscribe to our newsletter, and she will also put that link in the chat. And we do post our recordings on YouTube. Today is January 6, 2022. I got it right on this one. So, and we have kind of a loose agenda today with really open-ended as we figure out what's going on with 2022. The first thing we'll do is welcome and introductions. We'll keep it short, and there's some guidelines there if you want to know how to introduce yourself, but everyone is welcome to do it how they want. And if you don't want to introduce yourself, you can just say pass, or you can stay muted. All right. So you know me, or you might not. I'm Chelsea Powers. I'm the current chair of Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association, and I've been in the neighborhood, I think I'm coming up on 6 years now. And I first heard about BDNA through a National Night Out community event, and my pronouns are she, her. Next on my screen is Maria.
Hi, my name is Maria, she, her. This is not my first meeting, and I've lived in the neighborhood for about 4 years. And I first heard about the BDNA and the Easter egg drop in the Brentwood Park 4 years ago. No, 2 years ago, anyway, before COVID. And that's it.
Thanks, Maria. Stephanie, you're next on my screen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Frederick. I'm the chair of the Land Use Committee. This is not my first meeting. I've lived here for about 4.5 years. I learned about the neighborhood associations before I came here, and I made a point of looking up the BDNA as early as I could. And that's it.
Thank you, Stephanie. Elizabeth, you're next on my screen.
I'm Elizabeth Usher-Groff, and I am from Woodstock. I've lived here in this neighborhood about 45 years. And last night at our meeting, we were talking about how we want to continue to have neighborhoods do some cross-fertilization, I guess you might call it, you know, attend, and your agenda looked interesting, so I'm here.
Welcome, we're glad to have you, and we'll be talking about an event that we're partnering on with Woodstock later in the meeting. Let's see, next on my screen looks like Laura Lee.
Hi, I'm Laura Lee, she, her pronouns. I have lived in Brentwood-Darlington now for 9 years, and Facebook reminded me that 9 years ago today is when I had my house inspection for purchasing my house, so that was kind of fun. I heard about BDNA from walking by the community center on my way to the park. Oh, I'm also secretary on the board.
And we are lucky to have you. We really appreciate your work there. Let's see, AJ, you're next, and then looks like Thomas G after that.
Hi, my name is AJ. I've lived here for 14 years. I was working evening shifts and changed my job about 6 months ago. So now I'm more available to attend the meetings. I attended a couple of meetings a few years ago when I was off work for an injury. So I'm happy to try and be back again.
We're glad to have you back. Thomas, you're next.
Hi, new to the neighborhood as of a few weeks ago. So my first meeting, pronouns are he, him. I saw information about the BDNA before we moved out here. So I just wanted to, I kind of watched a couple of the recorded meetings. Sorry, my kid is here too. Watched a couple of the recorded meetings and just wanted to see what it was like in person. So thanks for having me.
Welcome and welcome to the neighborhood. We're glad you came. Hopefully you'll want to stick around and join the board. Looks like Kurt, you're next.
Hi, my name is Kurt Abe. My pronouns are he, him, and like the last speaker, I recently came to Brentwood. I purchased my home about 7 months ago in late June, early July. And I really just did a Google search to find out about the BDNA, and that's about it. Looking forward to learning more.
Awesome. We're happy to have you here. Lynn, you're up next.
Okay. Hello, I'm Lynn. My pronouns are she and her. Not my first meeting. I've lived in the neighborhood for about 27 years now, and I'm also currently the board treasurer.
Thank you, Lynn. We are lucky to have Lynn. Unfortunately, we are going to be losing Lynn as treasurer. So if treasurer is your jam, this is the time. Lynn will happily train you and you can join the board in May and take over. Last on my screen here is Kristen. Kristen, did you want to introduce yourself? All right, if Kristen wants to or is having technical difficulties, they can introduce. Okay, looks like if Kristen's trying to introduce, we're having technical difficulties, so I'm going to go ahead and move on, and you can popcorn in later if you'd like to. Let's see. All right, we always start off with community announcements and the Learning Garden Lab and the Mesto Gardeners and Black Futures Farm. Unfortunately, nobody's here from any of those organizations because they all have other commitments tonight. But we do have the update that the Harvest Share is closed for the season on Learning Gardens Lab, but I'm hoping to see some spring updates or winter updates from them. Black Futures Farm is working hard. I know they're working on their planning and raising funds for improvements and things like that. So you can go to their website and learn more. And the Master Gardeners are also in the middle of the winter planning stage where you're getting ready for spring, you're figuring out what your garden's going to be. So lots of planning happening there, but not a lot of work in the garden is what Linda says. So, but if you'd like to volunteer with them, the contact information is there. Black Futures Farm also takes volunteers, as does Learning Gardens Lab. Any questions on those before I move on? All right, last is Leech Botanical Garden. Just the fall winter hours. I didn't see Mary Davis. Nope. All right, so no big updates from Leech, but you can go to leechgarden.org. They are our closest botanical garden and see what's going on. Highly recommend them. It's a great, inexpensive way to get out and enjoy some nature. School updates. Oh, another one that I forgot to update. Whoops. There was no school on those days, so you should have watched out for them more. And this is how it always goes. So up-to-date information is at pps.net. And that includes school closures, nutrition updates, and they have a lot of vaccination clinics. So if you have kids who are school age, definitely check out PPS to see where their vaccination clinics are because they're really easy to access. Another announcement I have is from Derek. He's one of our board members, but he won't be here till the other half of the meeting. He reached out to parking enforcement about some abandoned vehicles along a road near him. And this is the response he got from parking enforcement manager Mike Krebs. So this is a different policy than previous. So I wanted to make sure we posted it because some of these things were new to me and are in complete opposite of how they used to be. So I'll read through it real quick just for anybody who needs audio versus visual. So Mike Krebs said that generally due to the housing crisis, PBOT allows vehicles being used as shelter to remain on the right of way unless the vehicle itself is creating an immediate hazard like a blocked stop sign, blocked sight lines at an intersection, or similar. The vehicle is preventing the free or safe passage of other vehicles, pedestrians, bicyclists, etc. The vehicle is preventing someone access to their driveway or property. The vehicle is obstructing a construction project. The vehicle is interfering with a permitted event. The vehicle is interfering with a temporary street use permit. The vehicle is part of a large-scale camp cleanup, or based on the totality of the circumstances, a PBOT supervisor deems a vehicle an immediate threat to public health or safety because of its condition. One of the changes I would definitely want to highlight is he said, signage restricting or prohibiting parking will only be considered if one of the above criteria is also present. So if they are parked under a no parking during these hours signs by our parks, unless they meet one of these other criteria on the list, they will not move them. So if you need to report an abandoned vehicle, say one with like a sewage leak, that is considered a hazard. If it's just someone parking, having a safe night to rest, not considered a hazard. They'll leave them alone. If a vehicle moves and leaves trash and debris behind, you can go through the one point of contact, and the link will be in the chat and it's there on your screen. If you're using the PDX Reporter app, the option for that is under campsite reporting. I don't have much more information than that, but I'm willing to take questions if there are any. And you're going to have to use the e-hand because I don't have my full screen view. So if you have a question, use your e-hand. Laura Lee, go ahead. We can't hear
Okay,
you.
having
There you go.
unmuting issues. Okay,
Me too.
I was curious, the very last one, the based on the totality of circumstances. I wonder, so a PBOT so we need to contact them and a PBOT supervisor will come out and inspect it themselves. Is that correct?
From what I understand, you should report it through the abandoned vehicles reporting in one point of contact. And then they will evaluate it and see if it meets these criteria, any of them.
Okay.
But just being parked in a spot that says don't park here during these hours is not one of those criteria.
Right.
So,
I was wondering if there, I wonder what PBOT staffing is like right now, and any response. I was just, the first thing that came to my mind was recently I drove by a vehicle that they were blocking the sidewalk. So everything else seemed fine, just that they had moved their stuff out onto the sidewalk. And so is that something we would report and have to PBOT then?
that looks like if it's preventing the free safe passage of vehicles, pedestrians, and bicyclists, but I think that's in the road. So I think on the sidewalk is not considered one of these because it's not in the road. But on the other hand, that creates an ADA violation because that sidewalk is no longer accessible. So we'll see if we can get an answer to that. We'll reach back out to the folks that Derek talked to and see if we can get an answer to what if it's blocking the sidewalk.
Well, I think you could report it through that one point of contact, right? Because there are several options. It's not just trash and debris that are reported there.
True. All right. Any other questions or discussion about this? Okay. Another update is from Kim, our Southeast Uplift rep. There is a new website on from City of Portland for neighborhood associations. So this is a screenshot from it. And I have a second one. This kind of shows some of the resources. So when you scroll down, this is the list of like hot links or whatever. And so you can kind of see, you know, about your neighborhood association and what is a district coalition office and the directories and how to find your boundaries and things like that. So hopefully it's helpful and informative. And if you see any issues or have any questions about it, that is through the Office of Community and Civic Life. Any questions on that? Okay. And if I move on and you wanted to ask a question on a topic, you can unmute and say, wait, I had a question. So if I miss you, make sure and just shout it out, and because I don't have my normal setup. Next is upcoming events. I'm excited to announce BDNA is partnering with Woodstock Neighborhood Association and Mount Scott Arleta Neighborhood Association to host Commissioner Mingus Maps. Woodstock has graciously offered their normal meeting night, which is Wednesday, January 26th, 2022. Got the year right this time. And so he will be there to do a presentation on Portland's structure of government changes and neighborhood safety. And then there will be a Q&A session and time for discussion. And that's hosted by all three of the neighborhood associations, and the three chairs will be facilitating. It's open to everyone. The link will be in the chat. And if you have questions, we have more information coming, but I can try to answer some now. Any questions? All right, we are moving right along. On the other events that are coming up, we don't have enough details to make up the graphics and post them yet, but we are working on a virtual fireside gathering with Impact Northwest, and I want to shout out Stephanie, who is the other mastermind behind that. So that's going to be a really fun virtual community event coming up in not too long. And we will have more information on that very soon. The next event is a Super Bowl Sunday event partnered with the Moose Lodge. Again, more info on that. And Dunya, who volunteers with the Moose Lodge, will be here at the very end of the meeting. She had another commitment, so she'll be here during the miscellaneous board business section to talk about that, and we can kind of chat about what that entails, and we'll talk, I'm sure, more about it in our upcoming meeting. We do have an art event coming up in the spring. More details on that as we get them all figured out, and I'm sure more will come on in as we go through the year. And if you're interested in volunteering at an event, or you have an idea for an event that you would like to throw and have help hosting, then you can always let us know, tell an idea at a meeting. Anyone can volunteer. You do not have to be on the board, but you are welcome to be. Any questions about these? I know it's very sketchy details on most of it. It's just kind of a put it in your brain. These events are coming in the next 1 to 2, 3 months.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Chelsea, for the heads up. This looks great.
On that note, if you enjoy event planning and other fun things that might happen at a work group meeting, you can join us on the third Thursday of the month at 6:30. The link will be in the chat there. It's the same link from last year. We just have a new public board meeting link this year because Zoom cuts you off at a certain number of meeting iterations and you have to make a new one. So, but the Zoom meeting link is good. It should be through all of 2022.
And it's available where?
It is on our website, and Maria will put it in the chat, and it also goes out. I think it went out in the newsletter. It's on the Facebook groups, and you can always email us if you can't find it. And these slideshows are available in the public records that Maria linked, so you can always grab it, take a screenshot. All right, next up, I'd like to talk about BDNA in 2022. And I'm gonna pause my screen share for 1 second. And I have something that I wanna check on, which is my notes for that. So I wanted to have both board members and neighbors kind of think about priorities, goals, aspirations, and reasonable expectations. So we have 5 more months with this current board. Our elections are in May, and in June, the new board starts. So I want us to really think about our capacity and make some realistic goals or expectations and prioritize those things that we want to do and can do. So kind of put that in your head. And I'm going to put the share back on. And if you would like to if you have an idea, you have something you would like to say, go ahead, raise your hand, and we'll go from there. And if you don't raise your hand, board members, I'm going to start calling on you. Oh, Kim, go ahead. Kim H. And Kim, if you missed introducing yourself, you're welcome to do so. We can't hear you, Kim.
I have unmuting problems this evening. Kim Hill, not my first meeting. She, her, hers pronouns. I have lived in the neighborhood for 4 years, and I forgot the last question, but just wanted to shout out about Soak It Week again and see if there's any interest in doing that again. And that was a really fun event last year. We worked with Trees for Life Oregon to provide buckets to the neighborhood, and it was a resounding success. We gave away 200 or so buckets at a couple events, and they were fun, low-key events. And no, I have not reached out to the Trees for Life folks again to see if they want to partner with us. But yeah, that might be another option. Just putting it out there.
Well, I think it was so successful that I'm sure residents who didn't get buckets are expecting a repeat appearance in 2022. So I think we should go for it again.
Board members, is there any opposition to going for a Soak It Week again? I think it was an extremely beneficial event as well. I see 2 hands up. Let's see, Laura Lee, go ahead.
Kim, I can't remember when it, is this something that we would need to reapply with Jim to be part of the grant? And if so, was that in January or February that we started doing that last year? My memory's failing me.
I would imagine that would be a really good place to start, and to reach out to Jim Gerspaw at Trees for Life Oregon to see, what the temperature over there is, and to see if they're interested in participating with us again. And then, yes, I believe we did start to plan around this time last year, Laura Lee, and that was really fun.
All right, all I'm hearing is positive stuff for Soak It Week. Any other comments, questions, thoughts? All right, I think Soak It Week is definitely a reasonable expectation goal that we could meet. And Kim, are you willing to reach out to Jim on that?
Absolutely.
Okay. For neighbors who may not know what Soak It Week is, I remember we have a few new neighbors here. Soak It Week is an event that takes place, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, during the last week of July and August.
Yep.
And we give out pre-drilled 5-gallon buckets with labels on them, and you fill them and soak your trees in your yard and around your property, and hey, street trees if you got them, to keep them, especially younger trees, to keep them healthy during really dry, hot summer, and prevent them from being more easily damaged in the winter, and help them live longer, healthier lives. Did I miss anything, Kim?
That is perfect. Great,
Okay.
great encapsulation, Chelsea.
Awesome. All right. So yes to blue buckets. Kim's going to check in with Jim. And if you have an update before our work group meeting, would you send it to me? All righty. So yes to Soak It Week. Any other ideas of things we should repeat or new and exciting? All right. New neighbors who are here. Do you have any ideas or events or things that you would like to see in the neighborhood? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, and you don't have to go, you don't have to answer, but Kurt, Thomas, AJ, Kristen, Elizabeth, any ideas? All right. Elizabeth, go ahead. Woo. Sorry, on my very carefully balanced table here.
On the weekend of June 18th, 18th is a Sunday, it's also Father's Day, so it might be on Saturday, but the Woodstock Neighborhood Association is planning with All Saints Episcopal Church to have a Juneteenth celebration. You may have heard about that, Chelsea, right? Oh, okay. So last night we were saying it would, it would be good to involve other neighborhood associations in it. And I can get you more details later, but it involves Voices for the People and looking at different small businesses that are started by people of color, and how we might learn more about the diversity of business in our community or in Portland. And there will be, it will be a festive event. So there will be something on our website, which is woodstockpdx.org. But if you all wanted to participate in a Juneteenth celebration, then maybe you could contact the chairperson of our neighborhood association.
We'll definitely look into that, and that might be, I'm wondering if maybe Black Futures Farm might want to be a part of that, because they are both a farm and a small business, because they do farm stands and things.
They were mentioned last night as it would be good to have them participate. Yeah,
if they would like to. I know that Juneteenth also a holiday that they celebrate in a certain way sometimes. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So we'll go from there. All right. So BDNA board, let's kind of tuck a note in that and talk to WNA about what that event involves and if we are able to partner on it. Sound good?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. I do know that Parks and Rec is doing feelers out for movies in the park if we can have things like that this summer. So they sent out a survey saying, if we can have movies and concerts in the park, would you be interested in hosting one? And Gail, who I think Gail might be our phone call-in. But if not, Gail is amazing and she's been on the board for a long time, and she is the mastermind who organizes the movies in the park when they happen or when we can have them. If you've been to a movie in the park in the last probably 10, 20 years, Gail probably helped organize it or organized the whole thing. So next time you see Gail at a meeting, thank her for your movie in the park. And so if they are allowed to offer them again, we would have said, yes, we would like to host one. And that usually happens late July to early August, depending on where we are in the schedule. But it's generally been around between the 15th and 20th of July for our neighborhood. So for the last few years that we're able to host them. Any other thoughts on upcoming events? And this doesn't just have to be events. This can be, is there a certain thing we want to advocate for in 2022? Is there something in the neighborhood that neighbors really want us to focus on? This organization is driven by neighbors, so we need to focus on things that can make a big difference for our neighbors and elevate everyone. Kristen, do you have a question, comment, idea? Kristen, you're muted if you were trying to talk. We still can't hear you, Kristen. Your audio isn't, your mic doesn't seem to be connecting or projecting sound. If you type it in the chat, I'm happy to read it out. That happens sometimes. Gail will tell you she's been a victim of it won't pick up my sound no matter what. Well, Kristen types, looks like AJ has a hand up. Go ahead.
Hi. So one of the concerns I have is, well, so I've been driving around getting stuff from the Buy Nothing group, and I see a lot of streets that aren't paved. So curious if the group has done anything to contact the city or the county about that, or what could I do to help with that?
So I'll preface this before I let Stephanie chat about this, because she is our land use and transportation chair with Brentwood-Darlington. Currently has the highest number of unpaved roads in Portland, coming in at over 4 miles. We are up next for grade and gravel this year. This will be our second time getting grade and gravel. The first time was 3 years ago. So know that that is coming. And on that note, Stephanie, I'm going to let you take this question.
Well, I don't really have much to add to what you've just said, other than that funding is the crucial question. And PBOT is an underfunded bureau for the work it has to do, and it does not have the money to pave the streets. So the best it can do at this time is to grade and gravel. And they're on a 3-year cycle. So every 3 years, all of Portland gets its gravel roads graded and graveled. If funding ever appears, maybe it will through the infrastructure bill, I don't know. There could be the possibility of getting some of our streets paved. But I should tell you, there are many people who like the gravel roads. So it's not a black and white situation. But at this moment, there really isn't anything you can do. I appreciate your interest and your willingness to step up and do something, but there isn't anything to do. You know, PBOT is, the Bureau of Transportation is very well aware of the gravel streets problem throughout the entire city. And if they had the money, they would pave the streets, but it's just simply not there.
Thank you. That's quite frustrating. There's a lot of potholes out there.
There is.
Yeah. And was just curious as to what's the update on the sidewalks for Flavelle?
So the sidewalks are currently in progress, and Stephanie, correct me if I am wrong. They are kind of in that limbo between the planning and the putting it in, kind of starting projects, but not all the way there.
Yeah, they've been in design for what seems like forever, but I'm expecting the sidewalks on Flavelle and Duke to actually be laid in this year. But I will check on this and get back to you. The last time I talked to them was months ago, and it was still, the project was still in design and still months out. But if I recall correctly, sometime in 2022, we should see our sidewalks.
And the website, official website, still says it's in design as well. And they have put in a few things here and there where when they're doing something else, they add in the improvement at the same time. I suspect that we will see a flurry of sidewalk infill as soon as we hit temperatures that concrete can cure properly at. So hopefully end of this year, they'll be in. That's what we've been told, at least.
Thank you.
Chelsea.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to do yours next? I saw your hand up, and then I see Laura Lee, and we can go from there.
To talk about the future, it sometimes helps to talk about the past. And I was wondering whether you could summarize for our guests who are our participants who are not familiar with the neighborhood association, the kinds of things we've done in the past. And I'm thinking of elections and cleanups and
Yeah, I can do a brief pre-pandemic BDNA summary.
Yes, please do.
Okay, so this is the last 6 years or so version of BDNA, because that's how long I've been here. BDNA in 2017 advocated for these sidewalks that I think it was AJ was mentioning, that will get infilled from 52nd to 82nd along Duke and Flavelle. That also includes a greenway along Ogden and Knapp, about to those same streets, but with a little wiggle to meet up with other greenways and bikeways. In addition to that, pre-pandemic, we hosted multiple candidate debates and events. We spent almost a whole year hosting elected officials at every meeting. We've done, let's see, we've hosted a lot of city officials as well. Pre-pandemic, we hosted about 6 events a year, including the Movies in the Park I mentioned earlier, a yearly neighborhood cleanup, like a bulk waste dump event, and
National Night Out.
National Night Out, or some other community gathering similar. We, what am I missing here? I'm missing a few. Oh, spectacular. The Halloween, we've hosted a Halloween event.
Right.
And then like we co-host, we'll co-host or table or help out at neighborhood events like at Learning Gardens Lab.
And we were a forum for the parks, the Arrow Heights parks.
Yep. So when they did park improvements, we were a forum there. So we try to bring what neighbors want to the neighborhood. Oh yeah, Maria, we were warming center during the ice storm at the community center. That's right. I forgot about that one. And then there's all the advocacy that Stephanie and the land use group has done around improvements, as well as the transportation management grant growth, or TGM, transportation growth management grant, which is currently in progress with the planning. And that is another piece towards getting paved roads, where if PBOT magically comes up with money for paving like they did 3 years ago, if we have our plan already in hand and they don't have to spend the money on it, on doing the planning, then we are much more likely to get funds for improvements. And that is how the Division Midland and Tryon Creek and Cully got their paving 3 years ago. And Grade and Gravel was part of that whole package deal. Oh, we won an award for the sidewalks too, for the new neighbors. BDNA was awarded the Weston Award by Oregon Walks. So I think that's most of it.
Yeah, no, that's good. And we're a forum for neighbors. We've been a forum for candidates running for office. And
Oh, we helped with the pollinator meadow in Hazeltine Park. And Hazeltine Park was an original BDNA project from the 1990s. Gail, who is either here by phone or would be here if she could, was involved in that. And so a lot of the things you see around the neighborhood might be a BDNA project. The community center was a BDNA project, well before my time, of course. And so
yeah, no, it's been an unusually active neighborhood association. And
we
I'd say
did
that
the resource guide, the 3-language resource guide as well. That was our 2020 project that sadly had a list of events on it that didn't get to take place.
okay, thank you, Chelsea. That's very helpful. It's
And 4th of July. 4th of July.
Good
was
to
the one.
remember all the things that we have done. And so
that new neighbors, that gives you a little bit of an idea of kind of what we're doing here and what we've done. So, you know, if you were like, hey, you know, I'd really like to chat with this elected official or have them come talk about something, we can invite them. They are often more than willing to come to a meeting. It's rare that I don't get responses from elected officials. It does happen, as we know, but usually they're excited to come talk to us, especially now that we have virtual meetings because they don't have to drive somewhere in the dark. And so, you know, if, for example, our state reps, like, and our commissioners and even our senators, we can invite whoever, and sometimes they can come, sometimes they can't.
like Karen Powers, yeah.
Karen Power.
I mean, yeah.
And Kathleen Taylor, who was heavily involved in helping us get the sidewalk grant. Commissioner Jessica Vega Peterson, she is always more than willing to come when her schedule allows. So definitely let us know if you're interested in that kind of stuff again. We'll happily schedule it. And Laura Lee, I think you're up next. And everybody can take a break from me.
I was going to comment on the sidewalk progress and just how excited I was on seeing that crosswalk on Flavelle and 62nd, because that I live down on 63rd. And so for years and years and years, my kids walked up 62nd where there's no sidewalks and then they had to cross that street. And that was a scary street to cross to get that bus to go to high school, because people would whip around the buses, you know, and so I don't know how that was designed, but it's so beautiful for me because now cars cannot get around buses when they're stopped to pick up the kids going to school, the high schools. So it's fantastic. I clap every time I drive by there.
Good. delighted to hear it.
I gotta admit, I take great pleasure in going exactly the speed limit over the speed bumps on Duke with a line of cars behind me.
And
Sorry.
also same thing, Southeast Flavelle Drive.
Oh yeah, the new sidewalks on Southeast Flavelle Drive. If you love those, you can give Stephanie a shout out.
Well, it was mainly the residents there who established relationships with PBOT, and we just when they got it, when residents turned to us, we just amplified their voices a little bit. And yeah.
Kristen mentions there's no sidewalks on Flavelle Drive. Yeah, that's another one of those. They don't have the money. We're lucky we got sidewalks or
Speed bumps. Yeah, speed bumps.
But don't speed bumps give us get us closer to eventually like a crosswalk and a stop sign?
Well, it's going, you know, the PBOT needs to measure the volume and speed of traffic now. And but if both of those are sufficiently lowered, we are going to get a beautiful pedestrian crossing at Hazeltine Park, which we have begged for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can tell just from watching the traffic that the volume is way down and the speeds are way down. I don't see any big semis on the road anymore. No big trucks. It's fabulous change. So I think we'll be seeing our crosswalk to Hazeltine, maybe even this year.
Awesome. There was a little bit of grumbling in the neighborhood groups, so I know they're working.
Oh, about the speed bumps, yeah. Yeah, well, it's the people who live along there are very happy.
Yep.
They're feeling a lot safer. I mean, people
That's what
actually
we replied with.
What?
That was what the reply was. The neighbors who lived along there were like, we are happy with them. We are thrilled with them. Like, just don't drive it on our street if they bother you.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. Kristen mentions that a lot of larger trucks have been finding the inner divots to drive through there with the problems they're doing. What they're like using the emergency cutouts. And as we know, that is a problem, but that is a problem that has to be like done through traffic enforcement. And we can't get speed bumps without the cutouts. That's PBOT's speed bump, current speed bump installation type.
Yeah, no, there will always be those members of our species who do not want to participate in the community. And they will find a way around the speed bumps or whatever it is. But I still see a huge difference in the traffic now, speeds and volume and types of vehicles.
I do too. I drive down there to and from work every day during rush hour. And there are people who are using the cutouts, but what I've noticed is they're not as aggressive because everybody is more willing to go the speed limit. Even if you get somebody coming up behind me that's going fast, they'll slow down. The mood of the street is definitely changed for the better for all of us who use it often.
Oh boy.
Oh, so you lobbied PBOT for a long time to get those, or how did you?
Well, here's what happened. There were residents who live on the street who had reached out to the the Bureau of Transportation. And one resident in particular had established a connection with one of the transportation planners there and had been appealing to him for years. And she had been measuring traffic vehicle speeds herself with a radar gun. And she finally got, but nothing was happening. So she got in touch with us. And I went down and looked at that street with new eyes, and I could see that there was a really big problem there. And so we bought a radar gun, and we got some help with tracking, with getting data on speeds and traffic volumes. And enough to where when we sent it to PBOT, they agreed to come to lay out cords and measure. And And then they agreed with us. Yes, the traffic is way too fast and there are way too many cars here. And and we also though noticed, I was looking at some maps that showed the what the speed limits are supposed to be in all the streets in Portland. And I was looking at Flavelle Drive and I saw it's supposed to be 20 miles an hour, but that's not what the speed limit signs there were. They were higher at 25. And I called attention to this to PBOT, and the PBOT changes signs overnight. And so then we had their attention about the volume and speed of traffic plus the signs. And so they were able to find the money, I don't know how, to put in the speed bumps. So it was a process, but they were very cooperative. And I just want to tell everybody here that the city has invested millions of dollars in Brentwood-Darlington over the past few years. And if you sum up everything that they've done, it's quite a bit. And I think the momentum was started by Chelsea and some of the other people in 2017, getting the regional flexible funds for the sidewalk infill. It called attention to our neighborhood, and then we had individual residents who also reached out to the city and kept the attention getting alive. And then we've helped to amplify that as we can.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll just mention that the sidewalk infill project was the brainchild of Misa Long and the chair before me, Leslie McKinley. They were both instrumental in getting that grant. So while they're not on the board anymore, definitely want to make sure they get the credit that is due. And if you are interested in what all's been done in Brentwood-Darlington by PBOT recently, Stephanie put together a list, and there's a little slideshow video on our YouTube that you can actually go watch, and was posted on our website a while back. So I don't have that link handy, but Maria might be able to find it from a previous link list. And but it is on our YouTube channel, and it's kind of amazing all the stuff that has gone in just in the last, was that the last year, Stephanie?
I would say it's the last 3 years. And before that, there was nothing, right?
Yeah.
We weren't getting much of anything, and all of a sudden we've gotten a lot.
Yeah, we did a lot of waiting for funding.
Mhm.
Kurt has a question. He says,
I see the question, I don't know the answer, but we can find out.
and Gail says, contact the Water Bureau at City of Portland.
Well, I think it's actually the Bureau of Transportation, strangely enough.
And I thought it was Environmental Services.
Okay. Okay, let's put some money on this.
Right. Okay, so let's see.
Mhm.
BDNA board, who wants to figure that one out?
I'm not going to look it up right now, but I will find out.
AJ votes for Environmental Services. Is that a vote, AJ, or a actual known fact? Oh, AJ's cousin works for the department. So go ahead and contact the Bureau of Environmental Services on storm drains. Thank you, AJ. This is why neighborhood meetings are great. All right, so I saw in the comments that have already scrolled by, it looked like maybe having PBOT out to a meeting in the coming year would be fun. Any other bureaus or things like that? To get PBOT to come, we should have a specific thing we want to talk about, or if we want them to come give us an update on the sidewalks maybe and tell us where they're at there, something along those lines maybe. What do you think, Stephanie? Do you think that would be a reasonable request?
On the sidewalks?
Yeah, have them come to a meeting and give us an update on the sidewalk project and maybe answer questions for a few minutes.
I guess. I mean, we just had them last year on the same subject. And all we got was they're in design. So maybe there'll be some other things to talk about. Let me, I can give it
maybe
some
like
thought.
in March, April, when they're probably coming up on installation times.
Yeah, let me think about some things we might ask.
Well,
them.
we could ask them when they might want to come present to us to show progress on the sidewalks. And that will give us an idea of their schedule too. Maria has posted that video in the chat, what Pivot's done for BDNA. So, and it is a silent video because my house was never quiet enough to actually record the audio for it. My apologies. So it's just a slideshow and you can pause it and read the text on it. So enjoy it.
Actually, it's just a PDF, so I'm not sure. I hope it's the up-to-date one, but I think it is.
Oh, that's the list. Oh,
Yeah, that's like the
there's,
list with pictures and all that. I think it's.
Yeah.
So there
no,
is a
that's
YouTube
good.
video, and we're
That's
about
fine.
to go to our break. So I can pause my screen share during break and go find that link as well. Anything else on this? I'm hearing updates on sidewalks, maybe have some elected officials at some point, but kind of mainly chugging along as we are.
Well, but I also think we ought to talk about advocacy, what we want to advocate for. You know, the situation with some of the homeless camps on Springwater Quarter and 80 and Crystal Springs and 82nd. Those are still with us. You know, I reached out to the, I've forgotten her name, but the owner of Cartlandia
Carol.
to ask, oh, Carol, yeah, to ask whether she would support, I mean, would she be willing, how can I put this? If we were to advocate for setting up one of the safe rest villages very close to Cartlandia, would that be something she would support or not? And I said, we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't advocate for that if that's something you would oppose, but I never heard from her. I'll try again, but I do want to talk about our advocacy in, you know, several areas, and that would be one of them, that building up
A
of
short
homeless.
summary list of other areas to advocate in.
I had a list at one point, and now I'm very tired tonight. I just can't remember.
So why don't but I'm gonna guess just that it is an advocacy list on things that are current issues in the neighborhood or things that are coming down the pipeline that we want to prevent, like in climate change and emergency preparedness.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think we've gotten a lot of investment from the transportation department, and more is coming, you know, as a consequence of the TGM report. So yeah, I think we might venture into other areas like homeless housing and resources and emergency preparedness and climate. So that sounds good, Chelsea.
Okay. So why don't we say that at our work group meeting, one of our main topics will be discussing the top items that we want to start advocating on.
Okay.
I think that it would be reasonable to pick between 3 to 5 items to focus on and keep it at that, depending on how large those items are. If they're big things, we keep it around 3. If there's a couple smaller ones, we go up to 5. But with a board of 7 people, all of us really busy, lots of commitments, jobs, homes, families, there's just not enough of us to go around. So we need to be reasonable in what we can advocate for and focus our efforts on a few at a time.
Mm-hmm. And Chelsea, could I ask for time on tonight's agenda for the the agreement between BDNA and Impact Northwest?
I would assumed you would talk about it during your report in the second half.
I see. Okay.
So I think I even have it listed there because it falls under land use as a.
It's not really land use, but I feel like I've ventured outside of land use to work on that. But.
Actually, good neighbor agreements often tend to fall into the realm of land use because they usually come about because of some traffic or land use issue or similar. So
Right, in this case, it's a building rehabilitation issue.
All right. I think that we are all ready for a little break from these screens for a moment. I know we're a little past our agenda time, but I'm going to say, let's give ourselves 3 minutes. Do we need more than 3? Take a little break. We want our full 5. Let's take our full 5. All right, we're going to take 5 minutes, refill our waters, stretch our legs, and we will be back in 5 minutes. And I will take that time to go find the YouTube video about Peabot. And we will resume our recording when we get back. And there we go. All right, we always start our second half off, or we do now, with a report from, I'm getting an echo, hold on one sec. From Lynn. Lynn, would you like to start us off with the treasurer's report?
Sure. So we started off with $6,166 at the beginning or at the end of October. And then for the past couple of months, we had a $20 reimbursement and a $213 donation from Woodstock Community Business Association for the participation in the raffle ticket participating in the Woodstock Gives Back. Sorry, it's been a long week. So we ended up with $6,400, and with the expected upcoming expenses and reimbursements, we're going to end up with about $6,000. Anybody have any questions?
Board, I wanted to let you know that, I'm so sorry, I have a weird echo. I hope it's not echoing on your end. That we've given out all of our grocery outlet gift cards, and I'd like to request another batch. This latest batch went to neighbors, everyone from new neighbors moving in from out of the country, to neighbors just getting started, to neighbors who have been in the neighborhood a long time and are facing some hardships, houseless neighbors, neighbors who are experiencing illness. So we really ran the gamut with this last batch and spread it around. So I'd love to get another one, because it's amazing how many people are in need right now of just a little boost. Is there any opposition?
Well, how much are you asking for?
Let's see, what did we do? Lynn, do you remember what we did last time for the grocery outlet gift cards?
I believe we usually do $500 worth.
That's 10.
Yeah,
10 at a
10
time.
$50 ones.
So it would be, I would ask to do the $500, Stephanie.
Okay.
Okay, well, I would support doing it if we promise to talk about fundraising at the business meeting.
But fundraising has to be not just me, you, or a couple of us coming up with ideas and trying to drag everyone else through it. It's all the things that used to do fundraising, the city has taken away, or we can't do at the moment. So I just want to draw a boundary there of, I don't have the capacity for fundraising unless it is at an event like the cleanup or something like that. So I absolutely would love to talk about fundraising, but somebody else has to take the lead on it.
Well, we can discuss it and at least come up with ideas for when it becomes possible again, right?
Absolutely. I'm just putting that boundary there to protect myself, because I do not have the capacity to go after fundraising. No. Any other discussion there, board? I'm not shutting it down, Stephanie. I'm just telling you that I don't have the capacity to lead that.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I understand.
Okay. So board members, I'd like to make a motion that we purchase another 10 grocery gift cards from Grocery Outlet at $50 each for a total of $500.
Okay, I will second it.
Thank you, Stephanie. I promise we'll talk about fundraising.
We seem to talk about it a little, just try to get it going. That's fine. Then.
All right, so we have a motion on the table for 10 $50 Grocery Outlet gift cards, seconded by Stephanie. Board members, I will do a roll call for the vote. So I'm Stephanie,
Aye.
Laura Lee,
Aye.
Lynn,
Aye.
Derek,
Aye.
and Gail. Let's see.
I think I see a thumbs up.
Yep, thumbs up from Gail. We're gonna take that as an aye, Gail, unless you say otherwise. Yep, I see your thumbs up. All right, and I see a comment from Gail in the chat that says maybe we could talk with Grocery Outlet to get them to work with us. We could absolutely do that, but I also think that as our only grocery store and local business that gives back to the neighborhood, that putting a little bit of funds into them isn't a bad thing. So if you want to chat with them, absolutely. And then Derek, could I ask you to pick them up again?
Sure. How?
Yeah.
Ed?
Oh, I was gonna say, Derek, if you don't mind doing, picking them up and I can just PayPal you the reimbursement when you send me the receipt.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And okay, we'll do that. Yep.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
And then Lynn, on the last note on the treasurer's report, I know that we need to add another signer to the account and kind of get that process going. So when you're ready for that, go ahead and email me and I'll schedule with you and we'll try to sync up our crazy schedules.
We actually have to have the board approve that, that we're going to have another signer. So I can put a motion, yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that so we can get that going, because I was hoping that maybe Stephanie would also be willing to be a signer. So we have 2 board members besides the treasurer, so that it's easier if somebody has an issue and can't get down there. Or Derek, since he does a lot of our pickups, our buying stuff.
Well, why don't we start off with Stephanie and Chelsea?
Stephanie, are you comfortable with that?
Sure.
Otherwise, we're gonna have like 4 people to coordinate and get down to the bank.
Yep.
So why don't we keep it simple?
Okay, yay. Simple, it's good.
Simple.
You'll just tell me what to do, right?
Okay, so I just would like to then put a motion to the board that we add a signer, that we add Stephanie and Chelsea as signers to the checking account for the BDNA, so that we can have that on, we'll have to have it on the minutes, and then we take the minutes to the bank.
Excellent. All right, so we have a motion on the table to add 2 signers to the account, myself and Stephanie. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, Laura Lee seconds. I'll do the roll call board. I'm Lynn,
Yes, aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Laura Lee,
Aye.
Gail. I see a thumbs up from Gail as an aye, and Derek.
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimous. Lynn, go ahead and coordinate. Let us know your schedule and we will work around it.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Because I know that yours is probably the most like morning to evening.
Yeah, the more kind of crazy one. So once we get the minutes approved, we'll have to have approved minutes for this January meeting.
Okay.
So that'll probably be in 1 or 2 months.
So awesome.
Or whenever, if we can do that next, but I don't want to put any pressure on Laura Lee. But this is the important part, to just get it approved by the board.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's no pressure for me. We've been having an issue getting the minutes approved for having quorum. So tonight I'm hoping to approve August and September, and then next meeting we can do October. Well, we can just do October, November, and January.
Okay. All right,
Perfect.
sounds good.
And you're actually up next with minutes, Laura Lee.
Okay, so I
Hold
sent
on one sec.
Okay.
Anything else on treasurer?
I don't have anything.
Awesome.
Thank you, Lynn.
That was a wild treasure report, more fun and exciting than we normally get to do, Lynn. All right, and remember, if treasure is your jam, Lynn will happily train you and you can take over in June. So Laura Lee, I know it just says committee reports and other updates because I couldn't remember what months we were approving and didn't have my email at the moment. So go ahead and remind us which reports you sent out that we should have sent corrections back on if we saw any, and that we're going to approve tonight. And neighbors, thanks for hanging out through your business.
So I sent out an email for August and September 2021. I had a couple of corrections that I've made. So I would like to go ahead and put a motion on the table to approve August 2021 and September 2021 minutes.
As corrected?
As corrected.
Motion on the table to approve the August and September 2021 minutes. Do we have a second?
Sure.
Derek's our second. All right. Seconded by Derek. I'll go down the roll call. I'm an aye. Stephanie?
I haven't read them, so I feel I must abstain. I'm sorry.
Your vote still counts. Derek?
Aye.
Laura Lee?
Aye.
Lynn?
Aye.
And Gail? Thumbs up from Gail. Did I miss anybody? Okay. Motion passes with one abstention. All right, so we will approve our next chunk of minutes next month, and then we'll go from there. BDNA board members, before we head into our land use and Southeast Uplift reports, there's land use. Wondered where it'd gone. I wanted to make sure I don't miss anybody. Does anybody else have a report before we do our other normal ones? Okay, Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you. Talk about the Brentwood-Darlington Community Center Good Neighbor Agreement and more, because that's the information I had when I made this.
Okay, thank you, Chelsea. All right, for the benefit, I will give a little explanation for the benefit of the residents who have joined us tonight who won't have any idea what we're talking about otherwise. And to the board members, I've sent out the proposed agreement between BDNA and Impact Northwest. And so I hope that you've all had a chance to look at it. But so first, let me explain to our those who are not on our board and are part of our meeting tonight. The Brentwood-Darlington Community Center is located sort of behind or to the east of Lane Middle School. And the community center was opened in 1997. And so it's nearing, it's getting aged and it needs rehabilitation. It's operated by a social services agency called Impact Northwest that serves the greater Portland area. Its prime focus is averting homelessness. So its offerings are very valuable for our relatively low income community. The new executive director, Andy Nelson, has been the first person from Impact to step up and say, okay, now we need to get the building re-roofed and repainted and the kitchen updated, and there are a number of repairs that need to be done to it. And indeed, he tried to get a loan 2 or 3 years ago to repair the building, and the bank would not issue a loan because no one can find a deed to the building. And so we're in this incredible situation where there is a building and it does have an occupant that operates it. The building sits on land owned by the Portland Public Schools, but leased by Impact Northwest. The Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association has several privileges With regard to the building, we can reserve space there and use it for meetings and events at no charge. We have a key, we have some storage, we can use the kitchen and the space, that we've reserved and the grounds. So it's a very nice arrangement. We want to see the building rehabilitated. And this new director, Andy Nelson of Impact Northwest, is very eager to make sure that the building is truly becomes a vibrant community center that is known to and used by the residents of Brentwood-Darlington. So we have been working very closely with Impact Northwest on trying to figure out how to, we have identified, we have learned that there's no deed. And we have searched everywhere and we have been to every institution, and we know for a fact that there is no legal owner right now specified for this building. So we are working with Impact Northwest to try to correct that situation, and Impact is the logical institution to become the owner. In the meantime, we are also want to codify our relationship with Impact Northwest, because although we have been using the building for years and we have the key and we have some storage and we use the kitchen and so on, we've never had an agreement. We don't know why we're allowed these privileges. Everything is very strangely murky and lost and hidden, and all kinds of documents are just gone that would explain the situation. So in any case, we propose to Impact that we create a good neighbor agreement between Impact Northwest and Brentwood-Darlington Neighborhood Association, so as to lay out clearly what our relationship is and how we will work together going forward. And so between Chelsea and Andy Nelson and me, we've come up with an agreement that I think is very good. It's not legally binding, it's a good neighbor agreement, but it sets out in writing all kinds of things, important things that have never been in writing. So that is the first step. And perhaps down the road, if we become incorporated as a nonprofit and we want to have a legal agreement, we can negotiate that with Impact Northwest. But at the moment, it's important to establish a written document describing our relationship, because this is going to help Impact with its ability to get money to rehabilitate the building. So they have decided they are going to do a planning effort. They've gotten a contractor who's already given them a bid and will help them figure out all the ways to work on the building. And we're encouraging that it be equipped to become a cooling and a warming center, even in the absence of electrical power, which would mean having house batteries and solar on the roof and so on. So it's a very exciting prospect. And I think that my hopes are high that we are going to see our community center become a brilliant, busy, much used and well-known, wonderful place. So just to go through the document really fast, the document describes the two organizations, what they do, who they are, gives the history that I have just gone over with you, and then argues that although there's no deed, that Impact Northwest is likely to be the owner of the building, and research is still going on to establish legal ownership. Then we turn to use of the BDCC and specify the responsibilities of each organization. Impact Northwest is bound by a lease with Portland Public Schools to operate the building as a community center and to keep it maintained. And so that is what Andy Nelson is stepping up to do after, we have to admit, years of neglect by Impact Northwest. So Impact Northwest will remain responsible for managing, maintaining, and ensuring the building according to the terms of the ground lease, and for offering the social services it has traditionally offered as part of the building's use. And the BDNA will continue to carry out its traditional activities, which also form a critical part of the building's community center purpose. From time to time, we may be able to secure small grants for projects that serve our neighborhood and benefit the building. And we may also organize placemaking events that raise community pride in our community center. For example, doing an annual BDCC grounds cleanup every spring. We then, in the building, I'm sorry, our Good Neighbor Agreement lays out our privileges. One non-reproducible key, and we know, and we're given the alarm codes. We have the right to reserve space as available, but we do not need to pay a fee. We have storage space in the kitchen. We have on-site use of tables, chairs, and other furnishings that belong to the building. We have the use of the kitchen and its appliances in connection with our events and meetings. We have the use of the building as our address, and we have a mail slot in the BDCC office. So an important part of the agreement commits us to meeting every 6 months or more often as necessary. That would be representatives of Impact and BDNA to discuss communications, behaviors, request changes, share information, clear up misunderstandings, announce new regs or practices, discuss problems and solutions, suggest new ideas for building use, maintenance, improvement, evaluate the efficacy of our working partnership and reaffirm the partnership, or if it is failing, plan to alter it or even dissolve it, but I don't see that happening. Every 2 years, we will meet to renew this agreement, and we may revise the agreement. We may also agree to establish a binding legal contract between the two agencies. So the primary goal of this agreement and the meetings is to establish and remain on friendly, reasonable terms and enable BDCC, that's the building, to serve the best interests of the local community and Portland at large. And then we both parties pledge to maintain accurate records of interactions, meetings, commitments, and agreements to ensure understanding and clarity down the road. So as you can see, it lays out who we are, what our responsibilities are, what our privileges are, and how we're going to work together. So I think that is a very good start to our budding relationship with Impact Northwest. And I'm bringing it to you tonight in hopes that the board will approve it, because this will, once we have it approved, we'll give it to Impact Northwest to sign after Chelsea signs it. And then this is going to help Impact with the fundraising it needs to carry out its planning and then rehab effort. So is there discussion? Are there any questions, objections? I'm very interested to know your reaction.
Well, Stephanie, it sounds good to me. Anybody else?
Looks like Gail loves it. She says good work. And yeah, definitely kudos for Stephanie. She has been researching this deed issue for probably what seems like forever at this point.
It's at least a year, yeah.
And like, I don't know how many hundreds of hours you have spent working on this and going round and round and round with different entities, trying to find this document that doesn't exist apparently. So the Good Neighbor Agreement also went out to you board members in your email earlier this week. So you got a chance hopefully to read it as well. And it looks like, yeah, I'm seeing approval in the comments. So are there any questions or comments before we make a motion on this?
I have a question. I think
Go
that I think the document's very well written. I just can't believe that there wasn't anything like this before. Is there
Well-
going to be any issues with Southeast Uplift or I'm sorry, Impact Northwest? Are they going to be signing it as well?
Oh, they helped us develop, we
Oh, great.
developed it together. And Annie Nelson, Chelsea and I all contributed to it.
Oh, perfect. That's great.
Yeah, no, there's no problem there. It's definitely supported by the three of us, and then we're reaching out for your support now. And yet, there may have been an agreement at some point, but a lot of records were lost from the early 2000s, it's just gone. And
There's like a
so we
chunk
just
of
don't know.
records missing, and even at the county and city level, they don't have records for it. So there may have been an agreement. Who knows? All right,
Believe me,
Stephanie, would you like to make a motion to approve your amazing work here?
well, let's call it our amazing work. All right, I move that we approve our amazing agreement that we've drawn up with Impact Northwest. And that's my motion.
Do I have a second?
Sure.
All
I
right,
thought Gail would beat me. Where's Gail?
Gail's having audio problems, or she would have beat you to that, no problem. So
Okay.
Derek, you can be Gail's second proxy. There you go.
There
So
you
we have
go.
a motion on the table from Stephanie to approve the Good Neighbor Agreement with Impact Northwest regarding the Brentwood-Darlington Community Center, seconded by Derek. I'll go down the BDNA board roll. Aye. Stephanie,
I
Derek,
Aye.
Lauralee,
I
Lynn,
Aye.
and I see Gail's eye in the chat. All right, motion passes unanimous.
Oh,
Stephanie, let me
wonderful.
know when you want my signature, or I can do it electronically now.
I'll bring it by. I'm an old fashioned.
Yeah, let's make an excuse for
person.
coffee.
That sounds good. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. This is fabulous. Okay.
All right. I don't see our other Kim here tonight. So we don't have a report on Southeast Uplift. And the only thing she sent me was the new Neighborhood Association website. So, and their meetings are ordered, so we only get a report every other month. So we should have a report from her next month. And anything else, I want to start with Dunya, who is here from Moose Lodge and who has a proposal or idea for our partnering on a Super Bowl event. So, hey, Dunya, welcome. You want to introduce yourself and talk about it?
Yeah. Everybody hear me okay? Okay, great. Yeah, I've met a bunch of you before. Some of you guys may not know me, but my name is Dunya Markham. I've been in the neighborhood for quite a while. I've been a Moose Lodge member for quite a while. And currently I'm on the board serving as a trustee, and I'm also chairing the activities committee at the lodge. One of our goals as of late has been to do much more outreach and connection with the community. We're also, like so many other organizations, we're struggling to find that core support in terms of people that are committing to doing the work, doing the work that's necessary for us to be sustainable. So one effort that I've decided to kind of take on is try to build more relationships with the community and get more interest and let people know what's going on. I also am the program director for Vibe of Portland, which is an arts nonprofit. And we have been offering arts classes at the lodge now since summer of last year. So that's something I'm also working to try to build so that there is a hub in the neighborhood for arts classes for children and even potentially adults as well, and potentially having art workshops and more community events. So that is something that's really been on my mind and something that I'm really hoping to work towards and build some connections. So one of the first things that I did, I of course talked to Chelsea about that, and an idea I had was a a Super Bowl Sunday event. You don't have to like football to enjoy the Super Bowl. I really don't like football at all, but for some reason I always watch the Super Bowl anyway. So I thought what might be a fun starter or like almost mixer event would be on Super Bowl Sunday to have an invite for Moose Lodge members and also BDNA members. It would be not necessarily an open to the public, but it would be just kind of an opportunity for us to get to know each other and hang out a little bit. And we could have some Super Bowl themed snacks, Super Bowl themed entrees or whatever, kind of like a self-serve. Trying to work around the COVID regulations. We have a little bit of a gray area. When is Super Bowl Sunday? It's late this year. It's like, I think it's the 13th. Let me check my calendar. It's late. I'm not sure why it's late. It has to do with like ESPN contracts, I think. Yes, it is the 13th. 13th. It's the 13th of February this year. So it's a week later than normal. And I think it starts at 3:30 in the afternoon. But it would just be a hangout. We've got some TVs that we can, watch the game on, chat. And we've got also some games. We've got a pool table there. We have some darts and whatnot. But I thought that might be a great way for just to kind of open our doors a little bit and for people to check out what we're doing there and see. I think both of our organizations have the same, or we're focused on building community, serving community, being available, and I think that we have a lot of common goals and common ideas, that there's definitely room for collaboration. When I brought this up to the board, they were thrilled. It was instantly approved. They just really were excited about it. And there's already been some people have been grabbing my ear, trying to, come up with their own ideas and things that they want to start doing. We've already heard block party, summer events. So anyway, that is what I have in mind, and I'd love to hear some input about that. And hopefully that can be like our first event, if that works.
All right, board. I'll let you sound off in just a sec. I just want to shout out the work Ding is doing with Vibe really fast, because she glossed over that, as she's one of bringing some of the very first like art and music summer camp to our neighborhood in a long time that are affordable and accessible. So just making sure that didn't get glossed over there. Okay, Stephanie, you have your hand up and we'll go from there.
Oh, Dunya, this event sounds lovely, and thank you for all you do. I'm writing it on my calendar right now.
Great.
Okay, any other questions, comments from board members?
Well, I just want to add that it would be fun to discuss with Moose Lodge members, the things that we can do. So let me just add that. Okay, I'll put my hand down now.
Let's see. I see another hand up. Hold on, I'm scrolling to try and figure out who it is. Laura Lee.
It's me. First of all, you have a pool table. So
yes,
we do. I think you need to make an event around your pool table for all of us to attend.
Funny you should mention that. January 21st, it's nacho bar and pool night.
Oh, okay.
I was planning on putting a little post about it.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Also, of course, a little bit nervous about where the coronavirus is going to be taking us heading into February. I work at a hospital. We're already starting to cancel things in February just out of caution. So I think the event sounds wonderful, and I hope that we're able to look beyond that event and think of the next one just in case this one is not attainable beyond our control.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. We do obviously have a mask requirement, and I would like this to also be a vaccine, proof of vaccine or proof of vaccination or negative test event as well. However, I am a substitute teacher, work in the schools, and I definitely am on board for canceling if need be. Definitely. So yeah, I'm also on board with that. We're thinking toward, for hopefully once the surge is over, when it's a little bit safer.
And we could always, if we had to, take the Super Bowl part of it out and just have a fun mixer later on as well, and just move our planning further along.
Correct. Yeah.
I want to circle back to block party real fast, because this is a request I've heard from more than one neighbor, and that Moose Lodge is talking about it too. How much fun would it be to have a BDNA Moose Lodge block party?
That'd be a lot of fun.
And maybe on Henderson, because it's not a heavy traffic road, but it's right there off of 52nd. So it wouldn't mess with traffic too much, but it would be really visible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it would still be real safe, because like nobody would be partying on, those high traffic roads.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Oh, Dunya, you did mention Chile Contest to me. Was that with this event or something else?
No, we're going to have to postpone that because that had already been scheduled and I don't want to step on anybody's toes at the lodge. So we'll have to move that. Maybe we can grab a fall date. Hopefully, we'll be in a safer place COVID wise, but we're going to have to postpone that, unfortunately.
All right. But they're going to share their chili recipes, right?
Hopefully, yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if they do, but when we do one, we'll definitely, I loved your idea of collecting recipes.
Oh, yes. So,
yeah. I love that idea, and having, building a Brentwood-Darlington recipe book. Like when I was a kid, we had, our school and whatnot, we would do that. I think that we need to make one of those happen.
And I know that other neighbors are also interested in some sort of community cookbook.
Yeah.
As well as maybe a cooking class or some sort of food event. That's been requested a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It could be if we did something like that, and we still had to be more COVID safe, we could have it where everything's packed up into little individual containers, and then people can either like vote online or vote with, like a piece of paper or something.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
so
and we
much
do
potential.
both have kitchens, Gail. That's a good call. We both have commercial kitchens.
Oh, you mean the building?
Yeah, both buildings that we have access to have commercial kitchens,
and they're literally blocks from each other.
So, all right. So, board members, I'm not seeing any pushback from doing a mixer event with the Moose Lodge and planning more events, more community-facing events with them upcoming. Is that correct? Looks like Gail's challenging you to a cook-off. Yeah.
There's not a lot of seasoning going on at the Moose Lodge. That's all I'll say. So that might be a lopsided. We don't use a lot of seasoning there. So okay, that's all I'll say about that.
Okay. My mom would enjoy that chili cook-off then. Any other questions about that, board members? So let's see, just kind of we're at the end of our meeting where we can popcorn off with anything else. Stephanie, you're good. Okay, you have your hand down.
No, I actually want to raise my hand.
Go ahead.
Okay, I had actually two little things, land use things I wanted to bring up. Not important, it's fine. It's good to go on to Dunya.
Go for it. We got a couple minutes.
Pardon?
Go ahead. We have some time.
Oh, okay, fine. And I'll have better land use reporting next time around. I'm in an exhaustion mode at this time, but I just wanted to tell you about two little emails that Chelsea forwarded to me that were sent to BDNA. One is from someone who lives up in Montevilla, who's a historian, and he's wondering if we have a position on the name of Harney Park. And he says that Harney is some sort of white supremacist from the early 1800s. So I don't know anything about it, but I wrote back to him and said, is your Harney our Harney? And so I'm waiting to see whether our Harney Park was named after this 1800s person or maybe someone else. So I will let you know. The other email I got was from a resident who lives on Henderson Street, and he wants a speed bump, I guess, right in front of his house. So I'm working with him on helping him understand what what the funding situation is and how you have to have a series of speed bumps and
Stephanie, I'm curious, can you tell us who the neighbor is?
his name is Kyle DeVille.
That's my barber. That's too funny. And I just got my hair cut the other night, and he was talking about all the people racing up and down Henderson.
It's Henderson, yeah.
What a
And we
small
all
world.
want, I see Gail's comment. Yeah, we all want a speed bump. Yeah. No, I commiserated with him, but you know, Henderson is a little 4-block side street. Peabody is not going to doesn't have the funding. Peabody would put speed bumps on every street if it had the funding, but it doesn't. So, but I'm going to help him in other ways.
Yeah.
But one of the things that was interesting about his email, and I thought it'd be nice to end the land use or our meeting on this note.
Mhm.
He said he had reached out to the city. He didn't say which bureau, and he was told to go to the neighborhood association, and that was music to my ears. I remember all that battle we went through with Chloe Udaly trying to destroy the neighborhood associations. And now here we have someone at the city saying, oh, if you want speed bumps, you have to work through the neighborhood association. So that made me really happy. I feel that we weathered a terrible storm, but we're still here and we have a future. So I just wanted to share that with you, that was just a really nice thing to happen.
Awesome. All right. So Stephanie, you could offer Kyle one of the signs we purchased of the slow animals. I have at least 2 left that haven't found homes yet. So if he'd like one of the signs that were part of our Be More Visible Slow Down project, I'm happy to bring him a slug or a turtle or whatever I got left. So I know it's not much of a consolation prize, but
well, you know, I have some other, I'm going to do some research on what people can do. You know, we've kind of relied on PBOT to help us with the speeding issue. And for the little smaller streets, you know, there might be other things that we can do. For example, if the neighbors cooperate, if everybody parks their cars on the street, that really narrows it, right? If that could be done during times when there's heavy traffic and heavy speeding, that could that's something that individuals can do to discourage use of the street and speeding on the street. But I'm going to do some research on this, on what individuals can do on their own that's very effective. But thank you for the sign. I can ask him. The sign idea, I can ask him, but I'm just also telling you, I'm gonna look into it and see if I can come up with some actual things that people can do that actually slows traffic. Yeah.
awesome.
Right.
I want reflective paint painted down the road that says slow down, you're going too fast, slow down, you're going too fast, as they drive and the headlights light it up. So, you know.
What about the barrels? I thought, isn't the barrels something the city's doing?
They're not on Henderson though. They're only for the greenways and the like little slow streets project. Henderson
Okay.
doesn't have them. Knapp has them, one street over.
But another possibility though is traffic cones. I mean, you can buy them for $10 a piece, little 12-inch cones. And if you just arrange them in a kind of irregular pattern in the street, and everybody chips in and you buy 20 cones or something, you could make life miserable for speeders.
I think those would probably get stolen and run over pretty quick, but
No, I
like
know,
that you're
but
looking for
it's,
alternative solutions, and I know they're out there, and we will make 2022 a year of creativity and innovation as far as solutions go. So as we wind down, I don't want to take more of the time of everybody's than necessary, just to make sure we're kind of recapping. So we are planning for hopefully a Soak It Week in 2022. We're going to talk about partnering on more events with Woodstock Neighborhood Association, as well as the Moose Lodge. And we're going to work on some advocacy around ongoing chronic problems in our neighborhood, as well as future issues like climate change and emergency preparedness. And we're going to try and invite some more of our elected officials to come and see us and hopefully get PBOT to give us an update on sidewalks. Hopefully I captured everything.
That sounds
And
good.
if you have an idea, email us, tell us at a meeting, you know, find us on the street. We're all your neighbors. We're here. Feel free to come and have an idea and volunteer, join the board, ask a question. And if you're not comfortable doing it at a meeting, absolutely email us. Just know that it takes us a little while to get back to you, but we do our best. And are there any other questions before I let us go a whole whopping 5 minutes early?
No, but thank you, Chelsea. Thank you very much.
All right. Here's to a great 2022. Hopefully we will vaccinate, stay socially distanced, and get over this fast. At least that's what I'm trying to do. So everybody
All right.
have a great evening, stay safe, and we will see you at Land Use and Transportation meeting next Thursday and the following Thursday at the BDNA work group. And if you need those links, they're on the website, or you can always email us. This is the only one that changed. Those other links are still good from last year. Have a great night, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting for everyone.
Okay,
Great,
good
thank
night, Chelsea.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.